exciting to see you here tonight. We are grateful that you're here for season 2 finale at the Hess Club. Awesomeness.
Are you all excited as we are? Because we could not stand it back there. We were so antsy and so ready to come out and be with y'all.
And with every other place you could have been to, all the Christmas parties, you could have been home in your PJs with your fuzzy socks on, it's cold outside, and you're here. So we're grateful to have you.
So y'all know what time it is, right? What time is it? All right.
Yes.
Ali is a nut. That's all I can say.
And a half.
Nut. So you're here. It's a live taping, which means guess what? It's so informal, right, ladies? We're just going to have a good time on the couch and just have some real conversation. That's what we love to do, is really talk and actually open up about things that most people don't want to talk about. And so first off, we definitely want to tell you thank you. But then, you know what? We also want to tell you, you might want to get some tissue ready, because we've got some heavy hitters tonight. We've got some serious stories, and we know that we're probably going to be tearing too, but it's going to be amazing. And so our first guest, all I can say is wow for her curriculum vitae. It is amazing and it is extensive. But what's so awesome is she's going to actually talk to us about a topic that in our communities is very taboo and most people don't want to talk about. I know you're probably wondering what that is, right, ladies?
You know, she has helped some very well-known people you might recognize by name, maybe Deepak Chopra or Iman Banza. Do y'all know those names? This person has been instrumental to them. She's going to talk a little bit today about and dispel that myth of wellness and kind of what is surrounded around them.
And she's also worked with several hip-hop artists, such as Kanye West and Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg on many different wellness projects. So all the way from Chicago, Illinois, let's give it up for Miss Iman Ali.
Awesome. Hello, Miss Iman. How are you, baby?
I'm well. Is my mic on?
Yeah,
I think she's on.
Hi, lovely ladies. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
on the couch tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All
Really
the way from
excited to
Chicago.
be here. I am.
So this has got to be warm for you
Yeah, I was gonna
compared to
say.
Chicago.
Actually, you were a little bit chillier than Chicago.
What?
That was shocking this
That's
morning.
uncommon to Houston.
Lots of wind and lots of turbulence coming in here.
But yesterday it was like 100 degrees, though.
That's what I
Yes,
heard.
yes.
That's kind of like Chicago too. In 1 minute it could be really warm, and next minute cold. So yeah, I'm
Well,
at
we're
home.
talking about wellness, and we know that wellness there's a lot of definitions about wellness.
Yeah.
What is your definition of wellness?
Well, Sonja, when I think about wellness, I am talking balance. You know, balance mentally, emotionally, body, and spirit. So all of those components make up what it means to be well. I think a lot of times we talk about, we don't really talk about it, but it's in the news now, mental wellness. Mental wellness is definitely something that, particularly in African American, Latino communities, is something that we haven't talked about. And
Very taboo.
yeah, very taboo. But when you talk about wellness overall, you're not just talking physical, you're not just talking emotional or mental, but also financial. There's actually 8 dimensions of wellness that include occupational, that include environmental, that include intellectual, spiritual. There's a whole, ecosystem, if you will, of what it means to be totally well. And at the base of it, it means, are you balanced? It doesn't mean you don't have issues and you won't have problems, but are you able to handle what happens? Because life happens to all of us, right?
Does. Yes, it does.
Yeah. So.
As I was reading your story, I was just like, oh my gosh, so many devastating circumstances that you've experienced that have impacted not just your life, but physically, financially, just your well-being, your business, your ministry. Talk to us a little bit about how you've learned to turn that pain into purpose.
Yeah. Well, growing up in the South west side of Chicago. My mother was a teenage mom, and she came from Mississippi, which was a part of the whole great migration into the north, looking for a better way of life. She was a teenage mother. We lived in a housing project called Rockwell Gardens with my aunt when we first got there. So my mom finally moved out at a certain point, 2 years. I think she was about 18, 19 years old at that time. Very scared, and I experienced a number of traumas with my mother on the west side, 3 times being robbed, once at gunpoint. I think I was about maybe 7 or 8 years old. Once like 5 a.m. in the morning, just trying to get to the babysitter because she had to be at work so early. And I didn't realize that these traumas were sort of lodged inside of me, you know, emotionally. I didn't realize that it also affected my relationship with money that I kind of felt, because every single time she was robbed, it was for money, and it was right when she got paid. So I realized later on that I was sort of repeating this pattern of being fearful of having money, that someone will take it or something will happen. Didn't realize that until probably in my 30s, maybe even more recent than that. So growing up like that in the rough side of the city of Chicago, struggling and, you know, trying to get by and just wanting to be safe, you know, that was a big part of, you know, what my life was like. And I was like, what's going to happen to us, you know, just Layne. Those are things that a child should never have to think about, right? So my father was absent, but in and out. And eventually, of course, he ended up dying at age 38. He got hit by a train. I was 19 at the time. And at that moment, I heard family members talking about, you know, oh, they said they found tracks on his arm. And that was my first time ever. Like, I knew my dad drank and I knew certain things, but I didn't know anything about drugs, okay? And so that was the first time that I was hearing this. And so I came home and said, I heard my cousin say something about tracks in his arms or whatever. She's like broke down crying, like, your dad never wanted you all to know, but he had been strung out on drugs for many, many years. And so coming from the South and moving to a big city like Chicago wasn't the greatest thing for a lot of people. And they got lost and they got, you know, caught up in the society of what was happening there. And he was one of them. And so learning of his drug addiction at that time was pretty devastating. Right. But since then, 2 years later after that, I buried him, my oldest child, so I did all the funeral arrangements. And I was going along, like, you know, finishing school, etc., and thinking that everything was okay. But then there was another incident where there was a loss, and that triggered
Another trauma.
Yeah, another trauma. That triggered all of the other traumas. And I ended up in the hospital for what they called situational depression. And my mother was so, like, you need to go to the doctor, because I wouldn't get up and, like, you know, and oh, your daughter's depressed and, you know, her eyes are dilated. And so they kept me in the hospital and they tried to give me, you know, anti-anxiety medication. I was conscious enough at that time to know that what I was suffering from, a pill would not be able to solve that.
Right.
And so I pretended to take the medication, but I wasn't taking it. I put it under my tongue and then throw it out. And my thing was, I took a study guide, Self-Improvement, the Basis for Community Development, study guide number 3, Overcoming Difficulty. And that night, my first night in the hospital, I read this one sentence that said, Jesus overcame the world, and you can overcome your circumstances.
Yes.
And that was a trigger to bring me back into the present moment, not in my past and all the pain that I was suffering from. And so from that moment, I said, well, my thinking got me here. My thinking can get me out. And I realize now, through modern science and medicine is now showing, oh, what you did was you interrupted a loop. and you created a new brain circuit so that you can think differently, feel differently, and then create a new reality for yourself. So that was the beginning. And in 3 days, I was out of the hospital because the doctor's like, whoa, what happened? Like, it's a miracle.
That sounds like that, when we talk about generational.
Yes.
Generational issues and generational things that happen
Sure.
in your life. It was a conscious effort for you to say, no.
Absolutely.
This stops here.
Yeah, I didn't realize it, but that is what it was at that time. And so I got out, and my last year in undergrad, I had to take some electives, and I saw this word, YOGA. I didn't know how to pronounce that word. This was 1995. So there were no yoga studios and no meditation studios at that time. But I read the description and I knew I needed it. I knew that what had happened to me, that was a part of a long journey of healing that I needed to embark upon. So I took that class, and I also took a mystical consciousness, East and West, which was a meditation class. I had a Japanese teacher who also was a therapist, and he taught me visualization techniques for healing. And I learned to meditate. I took my first yoga class, and that kind of began my journey.
Wow. And you hear so many negative things about, yoga, meditation, things of that nature. But it's so amazing just to know that just releasing trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Releasing
from the body
trauma
and the
from
mind.
The body. Yes.
Yeah. We now know that because now I am a research assistant for the Feinberg School of Medicine in Chicago, at Northwestern's school. And there we study the effectiveness of integrative medicine on cancer patients, on oncology, So people are taking yoga. They're seeing chemotherapy. They're having chemotherapy, but they're also able to come to the Osher Center. There's 6 academic centers like that in the country, one at Harvard, one at Vanderbilt. And what we do is just take a look at the effectiveness of these Eastern modalities, these things that we've taken for granted, like mindfulness and just being present and being aware. That's all it means. People think that there's such a big there's some spiritual connection to meditation when you meditate over the word or you meditate whatever. But it's a lot of science. What happens, your brain waves move from beta into alpha. The alpha state is the calm state. When you go into the alpha theta wave, the slower your brain waves get, the more calm you are, and actually the more powerful your brain is. So when you talk about athletes being in the zone, that area in the brain is, alpha, theta. That's a little space where they get in, and you can get in, we can get in, we can go there. Lots of creativity is associated with alpha brain waves. So I've sort of come full circle, because when I was in the hospital, I noticed and I saw all these people really very, very addicted to the medication.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, you don't really need this medication. I tried to talk to them. They were like, no, you need this medication. And I'm like, wow, one day I'm going to really do something about this. And I'm really happy that today, I have come through a full circle. And now, I'm an integrative wellness therapist. I do it from the research side at one of the top schools and research centers. I've teamed up with Donna Karen, the fashion designer, and her Urban Zen integrative therapy program. And so we treat pain, anxiety, nausea, insomnia, constipation, and exhaustion. And we do that by using 5 key Eastern modalities. We use energy therapy called Reiki. We use aromatherapy. We use in-bed yoga, so restorative pose. And we use contemplative care, which is more mindfulness, bringing you into the body, and then nutrition. And it's designed to go into the clinical settings to work along with the doctors and the nurses to treat the patient and not the disease. Right. And so very innovative to marry the modalities together. I've been very grateful. Now I'm just reaching a contract with the Illinois Masonic Cancer and Infusion Center to bring integrative therapy there, Urban Zen, to work with their cancer patients, as well as their family members, and also the doctors and nurses. So we're super excited about that.
Yeah.
So awesome.
How receptive are people? Are they receiving what you're saying? Are they listening?
Yeah, something happened in 2018. Maybe it had something to do with the election. I don't know. And the political climate inside of America. But anxiety or people talking about anxiety, but I do think that anxiety levels shot up tremendously. I used to run a meditation studio in Chicago early in the year, and this studio was only a year old, and within 1 year we saw 200 corporations come through the door asking for us to teach their employees mindfulness meditation. Everybody from the Blackhawks to the Chicago White Sox and Nike, everybody. And we see what's happening now inside of the mental health space. A lot of the entertainers, Kanye has been a big force, if you will, because before Kanye had his very public breakthrough, it's what he calls it, a breakthrough, and it really was.
Well, you know what? We want to take a moment on that.
Okay.
Note, especially because you said the word breakthrough.
Yeah.
We want to take a note on that.
Okay.
So you know what? Grab your tea or coffee if you want, and we'll be right back.
Let's be honest. Making a lukewarm marketing video is fairly simple. But who wants lukewarm marketing? Instead, how about something that conveys your unique message? Well, that takes creativity, and creative is what we are. We design custom logos. We even offer professional print services. Our goal is to showcase how good your idea is, no matter what your product is. Whether it's social media marketing for a new author or the artwork for the book itself, we can help. You've created a new app and need a TV commercial to show it to the world. We can help.
Now they're Stork Advisor.
If you're a photographer trying to show off your work in a unique way, we can help. Need a promo for your TV show? We can help with that too.
It's Couch Time with Sonja.
We're an artistic bunch and we love the creative process. We're not trying to be the best in Houston. We're trying to be the best for you.
And we're back. We're going to continue with our special guest today. And Clarinda has a couple questions that we want answered before she leaves the couch.
Yeah. So, Iman, we know that you work with lots of entertainers, and we know there's lots of pressure and things that go on behind the scenes that we just don't always see. How do you work with entertainers to help keep them centered and well?
Well, it hasn't been, it's just only recently that we really have begun doing that. I entered the entertainment industry through my mentor, which is Russell Simmons. And Russell, as a yogi, would always take me to yoga class in New York and meditation. But just recently, within the last year or so, are we hearing from artists about, their mental state, the stress that they're under. Everyone from J. Cole talking about, using meditation before he goes out, anxiety about paying his bills, right? Be like, oh, really? You have anxiety about paying bills?
They are human.
Yeah, that's the thing that people don't know. Kanye, I worked with Kanye back in, of course, 2004 was when I began in the entertainment industry. Working with Russell and the Hip Hop Summit, we organized the voter registration drive, and Kanye was just bursting on the scene in Chicago. And so I invited him and so many of the artists out of Chicago to come to be with us for that. And he, although I knew what things about Kanye from 2004, 2005, 6, 7, up until his mother passed, I helped to launch his Loop Dreams Arts Initiative there in Chicago about 2 months before his mother passed. And what was so fascinating about the relationship between Dr. Donda West and her son Kanye was that she was his advocate. She was his protector because of course, she knew what her son was suffering from, and I would see her jump in when he would be about to snap on somebody. She'd grab the mic inside of a sound event, and I was like, okay, I'm checking. And so we knew certain things, but we couldn't say those things publicly about him. And so when things became public, of course, I was one of the first ones to his defense on the radio there in Chicago, saying, you know what, we really should take a step back. We don't have any clue as to all that somebody is going through, let alone someone who's at that level of fame and fortune. It's a lot of energy, and even for me, working in that industry for a decade, like after I worked with Snoop in the Youth Football League in Chicago, I went in the hospital at one point due to the pressure, and just needed to just take a break. And so lots of times this is why there's a lot of drugs and in the industry. So now we're at that critical mass point, and Kanye again leading the charge and being very public about wanting to change the stigma. We saw him on meds, and we do see him still now on meds. I don't think that our community has put our arms around him like we should, to kind of create a framework to say, you know, kind of back up off of Kanye, because everything that he says and everything that he does, he's in a mental state, and he's saying, hey, I wouldn't have done that, Drake, had I not been heavily medicated. Duh. So like, kind of like, you know, give me something here, you know. And so we're still just pounding on him, and I would hate to see something happen to him very tragically as a result of not being able to handle the pressures of that. And so I have a new book coming out 2019 called Ye Mantras, where East meets Kanye West. You can follow us on Instagram, Ye Mantras. And that book gives a framework to what's happening with him. He's given us so many mantras and things on how to overcome anything, because he has overcome so much just to be at his level with all of those, you know, mental things that he had. I've just teamed up with Chance the Rapper, because we're from the Chi, and Chicago leads the country in so much, and a lot of times it's negative, but now we're leading the charge in mental wellness and being able to say, hey, it's okay.
That is so awesome.
And
That is
so
awesome.
Chance has My State of Mind. We've teamed up. I'm on the research and advisory discovery team to find the providers inside of Cook County, inside the city of Chicago. We're going to compile that, and we're going to allow that to be accessible to people. And then we're going to take that around the country. So we're definitely looking to do more here in Houston, et cetera. So
well, we thank you for just taking the charge, knowing that it touched you so close to home in your family.
Absolutely.
And so we know that, you know, how can they get in touch with you once again?
They can reach me at Iman Muhammad Ali on Instagram. You can reach me there, Ye Mantras. You know, go on and like us and follow us, and then you'll be able to get all the information and updates on what we're doing for 2019.
It's good stuff. Yeah. Thank you, Iman.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If there was one thing that you could leave the audience with, those that are in the room today or those that are watching, there's one thing that you could leave them with, what would that be?
I would say, if you can breathe, you can meditate. If everybody just would close their eyes for a minute and just be in the moment, in the room, present. Notice your breath. Notice if you're breathing or if you're holding it in. Notice the stillness in the room, the silence. And open your eyes. In just that one moment, you've come back into your body and your awareness, and you've noticed a shift. Yeah, I see a lot of heads shaking.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
We definitely are grateful for Iman sharing her wisdom and her knowledge. If you are someone who is suffering from mental health, or you have even emotional health, financial, remember she said there was 8 different tiers. If you're someone who's suffering from any of those things, don't suffer alone. Remember, please reach out. Reach out to her on her website. And if you can't catch her on her website, please reach out to us. The ladies here on the couch, we want to make sure that we connect you with someone that can help you. We will hug you, we will embrace you, but we will make sure that you have a connection. We hope and pray that you will continue to reach out to Iman and get more information. We'll be right back. If you would like to be a guest or advertise your business on Couch Time with Sonja, I would love to hear from you. Email me. Visit couchtimewithsonja.com.
One of the most important events in life is having a baby. The closest hospital may not be the best choice for your family. Now, there's Stork Advisor. With Stork Advisor, you can keep your loved ones informed. There's a labor alert right at your fingertips. Stork Advisor even offers you a pregnancy tip every day. After you've had your baby, tell us about your experience and leave a Stork rating. We want to keep other expecting families like you informed. With Stork Advisor, you can know what to expect when you're expecting. And welcome back to Couch Time with Sonja. We hope you're ready for this next segment because it's going to be good.
This couple truly does life together and lives by the mantra that all things work out. A2 began as a way for Tiffany to encourage herself to stay active, but it began to grow much more than that. Its foundation comes from Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together. Please welcome Mrs. Tiffany and Michael Wilson.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Welcome to the couch.
Whoa, we made
Thank
it
you.
to the couch.
That's so cool. Now, I love that tie.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I like it.
I appreciate that. She chose it. Not me.
Good job. Good job, Tiffany.
Well, I heard A2.
Yes.
So don't we want to know?
So tell me, Tiffany, tell me where the name came from and how was all of this birthed?
Okay, so that's a bit of a story there because it started off as me just wanting to remain fit. I'd had 2 children. I have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. And it was my way of encouraging myself to just be active and to maintain sanity, right? So
Don't we all know about that, right?
as moms, as parents in general, you know. And so life started happening. And I knew that God was turning this into something larger than just admonishing yourself and admonishing the people to work out. But I knew he was beginning to take all of the ups, all of the downs, all of the smiles, and all of the tears, and showing me that all things work out.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome right there. So it wasn't just where people think that it's working out.
Oh, no.
It was really working out in every area of your
right.
life.
It's a duality of it. So get up and go to the gym, work your bodies out, but that's physically, right? But literally everything works out. It may not be always in the way that you'd want it to work out, you know.
Or the timing.
That's right. That's exactly right. But it all kind of creates this beautiful story in the end.
Well, you had some statter steps. So you had some things that actually unfolded, both you and Mike. You know, some things that really made you kind of center, have to come back to center. Tell me a little bit about, tell us about the things that you had to walk through that really opened your eyes, that truly all things do work out.
So the first that I can think of, we were freshly married, 2004. This is what going on year 14, and we were trying to have a baby. And so I know, so we were super excited. We found out we were expecting, and about 4 months in, we found out that we had lost the baby. Very first time, newly married, very first time ever conceiving, and we lost it. And so that was super tough, and I'm trying to hold it all together here.
Oh, yes, we understand.
But super tough because it's in those moments where you're wondering, like, why? Why give me something and then take it away?
Right, right.
And so that was tough. That was tough. And we were young. We were married at 22.
Yeah, very early.
Oh man,
Very
22.
early on.
So it was all new. And then that's a very taboo topic as well. Miscarriage.
Yes, it
you know.
is.
And so I didn't understand like how you could bless me with this and how I could have so much expectation and then you just strip it away.
Wow. Michael, how did you, during that time, how did you, especially being the man and the head of your home, loving your beautiful wife, how did you help to undergird her during this time while trying to also handle what was happening yourself?
Yeah, it was a very difficult time. I operated with a lot of timidity. This is one of the things, because I'm such a rational person, I couldn't explain. I felt like we, at the time, had done everything right. We had not had any occurrences, if you will, outside of each other before we got married. We waited purposely for that. Everything kind of had aligned, and when that happened, it was a shocker to me just as much of it was a shock to her. And so all that I could do at the time was put on my face of strength and try to support her. But I had my moments as well, where when she wasn't looking, I looked to God and said, this just doesn't make sense to me. I'm baffled at how this could play out this way. So I had to step away from being Superman and, quite honestly, be Clark Kent for a moment. Not in front of her, but it was difficult. It was very difficult, but we stood by each other, and we trusted and believed that ultimately all things do work out, and we pressed forward.
Amen. Amen.
The show is all about not just us on the couch, but those watching in the room and on camera, those behind the camera. If someone were walking the same path, the situation that you all overcame and made it through, and did very well, and now you're celebrating 2 children, what would you tell them being in your situation? What would you say to encourage them?
I would tell them to really step back and look at the larger picture, because I think a lot of times we take those moments and we think they're wasted moments. And we realize that there are absolutely no wasted moments. That every single moment, every single thought, every single thing that happens somehow works out. To embrace those moments, dive into those moments, sink into those moments, and allow them to work together.
That's good. That's good. Great insight. But I know that men, they walk through it, but they walk through it together. Hence A2.
Yes.
2.
That's
right. That's right.
We'll be right back.
CEO Jalea Davis is making history by becoming the youngest African-American female to own a television station in the nation. Along with her colleague, President Crystal Holmes, these women are becoming a part of the 1.3% African-American television station ownership. Get ready for iconic television, an all-new channel coming to your TV on KVVV Channel 15.10, covering Houston's local inspiration, entertainment, health, wellness, fitness, family, visual artists, comedians, and more. Streaming 24/7 on iconictelevision.com. Be sure to stay tuned for the latest and greatest on Iconic Television, where everyone can be iconic.
Welcome back, guys, to Couch Time with Sonja. We are super excited to have this amazing couple with us. Michael, tell us about this A2 movement. We're ending the year out, going into the new year. So tell us what we can expect from A2.
Absolutely. So my wife kind of gave you the overall perspective of A2. And quite honestly, we're taking one facet of that, and that is kind of the fitness component of it, where you are actually physically working out. And we're really trying to launch that in a greater capacity in the new year. This is a time now when many folks are making resolutions, particularly around fitness. And so it's a perfect time to have conversations. But in all honesty, 2019, we really see this as a time to really allow folks to focus on their personal fitness journeys. And that's defined individually, not to bash group fitness concepts, but one can only attain and really accomplish their fitness objectives when they're focused on what fitness means to them and where they are with respect to their own fitness journey. And so what we try to do is we try to meet with folks individually, if you will, and go through kind of a formal assessment. Sonja will tell you a little bit about that. And then we try to come up with a customized plan, if you will, for that individual, okay? So there's accountability on both sides, on our part as coaches, if you will, but then also on your end as well to take the plan that we've put together and put it in action. So that's what we're really excited about for 2019 with respect to fitness.
I'm ready. Y'all gonna join me?
Like a little Zumba.
I am really grateful for the A2 movement. It's been so much more. I stepped into A2 really for the component of the fitness aspect. But what I didn't realize, wow, it was so much more than just the fitness aspect. That, yes, you can say fitness is great, but it's spiritual. It's fitness, it's spiritual, it's your emotional, it's all tied together. And what I can say, definitely for these two coaches in the A2 movement, is it is an individualized program. But what was so amazing is when I had my I hate to say that assessment thing. I had that assessment thing, you realize really where you're lacking. That's what it showed you, is really where you're lacking. But in that area that it showed me where I'm lacking, it also gave me where I can improve. And so what I looked at is I could either look at the things that I'm lacking in, or I could strive for the things that I could improve in.
That's right.
And A2 and being with Mike and Tiffany has been so amazing because I will go the extra mile because I know that this is not just for me to do, it's for me to also do unto God because this is my temple. And it's just so amazing what you're doing that I know that there's so many more that need that. Where I started and where I am today, I'm so proud of myself. Although I can't stand when this brother lands and he comes home. Guys, I'm going to tell you, when he gets home, I'm like, no, I don't want to work out today. And I love it when Tiffany is in the gym because Tiffany takes it a little bit easier home. But what's so powerful about your movement is that you have put every aspect of a person's life in it. You've put the wellness, you've put the nutrition, but the spiritual aspect, man, when I know that you're praying for me and you're sending me encouraging messages, many of you are falling off of the bandwagon because you don't have the encouragement around you. I will definitely tell you, find someone. If it's not A2, find someone to step in and be that encouragement around you because you can go far when you have a support system around you.
So how does someone find you? Give me, before we go away, how do they call you, find you on social media?
Your house address?
So yes, you can definitely find us on social media. We are on Facebook as ATWO Studios, and that's All Things Workout, and on Instagram as A2-828.
Wonderful. So you all know how to reach them now. So as you're setting those 2019 goals, reach out to them and see how they can help you. We are going to another quick break, but it's not over. We have so much more in store for you.
Connect with fellow millennials, creatives, professionals, and entrepreneurs within the all-new millennial community. Join in and get connected with local events, volunteer opportunities, and mentorship programs with the next generation. For more information, visit themillennialcommunity.com and become a member today. Membership includes access to special events, networking events, and civic engagement opportunities. Check out our online calendar for upcoming event opportunities, such as Millennial Think Tanks, community building events, the new Sea Live experience, and much more. Members will also be invited to join an online membership group, have opportunities to pair with local students in the Houston community for mentorship programs. Follow us on all social media platforms and get connected with the Millennial Community today.
Our next guest spent many years hiding from a moment that actually changed her entire life. And we're going to get to hear, really, how does a beauty queen go from being a beauty queen to being educated and intelligent to facing 40 years in prison? Makes us all go, Well, she also pulled herself up out of that by using 4 key things. So we're going to get to hear from her today. We're going to hear from her, and she's all the way from Louisiana. And her name is Miss Mistie Layne.
Hello.
Hi, Mistie. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Hello.
Welcome to the couch, girl.
I love it. It's a pleasure.
Louisiana.
Yes, ma'am. Woo, yeah.
So, Mistie, we just want to jump right in.
Yes.
How does a beauty queen from Texas, studying to be a surgeon, find her way into prison? Not just prison, but facing 40 years.
It's pretty devastating, isn't it? Yeah. Can't judge a book by its cover, I'll tell you that much. I'll just jump right in, as she said. So growing up, I was that hyper kid, like the Energizer Bunny with the turbo pack on. Just all or none, all the time. Competitive, super competitive. Growing up in the beauty pageant, you learn very early to be a people pleaser. And there's a lot of pressure and a lot of power that comes with that. And I learned that early as well. So growing up, I went into college, met my husband, got married. September 18th was our wedding date. Had a great marriage, had 2 daughters. Thought my life was just easy street. Got accepted into medical school on my way to being a surgeon, which is what I dreamed of since age 13. Found out my husband had a woman pregnant and blindsided me. I was that everything was beautiful person. Didn't even realize that those things went on in the world. So I went into a deep depression, became extremely vulnerable. I got mixed up with someone because, of course, it was my fault. I wasn't pretty enough, wasn't smart enough, wasn't good enough. It had to be my fault that he wanted someone else. So the first guy that gave me attention, of course, I was all over that. It didn't matter what caliber of person he was giving me attention. So I fell into a relationship with him. I bought Dallas Cowboys tickets for him for his birthday. We were on our way to Dallas from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Pulled over on the side of the road. He pulled out a line of cocaine. I said, take some. I'd been with him 7 months, didn't even know he was doing drugs. I said, no, I don't do drugs. I was hit by a drunk driver when I was 15. I was very against drugs. But I opened that door enough and the devil came in. I was vulnerable and I said, you know what? Let me try it. And I tried it. And it took me to a place where none of the other stuff mattered anymore. And I liked it. So that progressed into crack cocaine. Yeah. I've never smoked cigarettes in my life. So trying to inhale and figure out how to do a pipe, by the time I'm a perfectionist, so it took me a minute to figure that out. By the time I figured that out, I was a full-blown crack addict, that fast. And it took me down 10 years. It stole 10 years of my life. 10 years. Never say never, because I found myself doing the things I said I would never do. Never. So it progressed from there. He was gone. Next person I fell in love with was my drug dealer. Someone else that thought I was wonderful. I was so wonderful and funny and smart and pretty, and of course, I clung to that. fell in love with him or whatever it was, ran off. We both wanted to quit the drugs, so we both moved to Texas from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And for about 2 or 3 months, it was going pretty good. And then he broke my nose for the first time. Had no idea, never been around that. Hadn't seen anyone in my family go through that before. So I was devastated, being the strong person I thought I was. I'm thinking, well, why don't I just leave? Well, never say never, because I'll tell you, an abuser, they play trickery, very controlling with your mind. It is a very deep-seated thing that they use. They will find anything they can, and they know what to do. They're master manipulators. So this went on, off and on, off and on. I called my dad, and I said, I need help. My family knew something was wrong, but at this time, I was only 1 year into the addiction. They didn't know what. So I finally called my dad. I said, Dad, I need help. I need to go to rehab. So he put me in rehab. I found out I was pregnant with my son and went back to my abuser because that was his dad. So went back to him. This went back and forth. He went to prison. Things went back and forth. Things were getting pretty bad. And being that I don't look the part, I was getting away with anything I could. Writing hot checks, using stolen credit cards. I could walk into a bank and use a credit card like it was nothing because no one ever suspected me. You know, just put some lipstick on, fluff my hair a little bit, and they didn't think I was smoking crack, but I sure was. And the way this all ended up for me facing the prison was I was in the wrong neighborhood, doing the wrong things with the wrong people, and I was attacked and robbed and punched in the face, and I lost control of my car, and I had a wreck, and I hit a lady and knocked her under a house and killed her. And it happened on September 18th, 2007. So I woke up in jail. Well, actually, I woke up in the hospital with my mom leaning over me. Honey, are you okay? And I had been up for 4 days straight, so I was pretty much exhausted more than anything. And I said, Mom, I'm fine. Let's go home to Austin. Let's go see Bubba. And she's like, honey, don't you know what's happened? Like, what's happened? And I went to reach up to hug my mom, and then I felt that cold still around my arm. Had me handcuffed. And I said, what's happened? I said, Mom, no, those girls attacked me, but I'm fine. Look, I'm okay. And that's when the detective came in and said, you can tell her. And that's when my mom told me, honey, you just killed someone. And it was just, I landed in jail, facing 40 years for vehicular homicide. I didn't want to live. I felt guilty for being the one that lived when I was the one doing wrong. And even if I did want to live, I didn't know how to live without the cocaine in my system. So I just sat there depressed. I couldn't get any help. It was a small little parish jail. I didn't have any doctors to see or anything. And then my daughter wrote me a letter. And she said, Mom, you got to stop beating yourself up. You've got to let it go. Just get rid of it. We love you. We just want you to come home. So I walked over to the mirror in my jail cell, and I just looked at it and looked at myself, who I didn't even recognize anymore. And I said, okay, are you going to let this kill you too? Or are you going to get up, pull yourself up, and go be a mom to your kids? And that's when I decided. So I ordered paper and pen, and I started writing down my story. It took me 7 months, and that was my therapy that saved my life, was writing down my story. So I wrote the story down. The prosecuting district attorney, which is the one that's supposed to be putting me away, got wind of my book and read the little tattered stained papers, some of them, and said, you don't belong here. I said, yes, I do belong here. I've killed someone. And he said, but you got caught up in an addiction. We need to help you. And it was him who talked with the family and talked with the judge and was able to reduce my sentence to negligent homicide, which carries 5 years, and it's a nonviolent crime. So I practiced nuclear medicine, and I was able to keep my medical license. So I came out and been sitting on my book for 11 years. I wrote it in jail, and I've been ashamed and hiding. And, my son made his Eagle Scout this year, and there's things about, things you do with addiction, things you don't want your scoutmaster to know, or the priest where your son's an altar server. It's embarrassing. And my book is very raw. I decided if I didn't know things I knew going through the addiction, because see, when I do things all or nothing. So when I would do things, I would think I was a monster. How could I do these horrific things? But then I started learning, talking to the girls in jail, they were doing those horrific things too. So it helped a little, just a little bit, to know. So I feel like people need to know the truth, not a sugarcoat. They need to hear the raw truth about what really happens, not just in addiction, but domestic abuse. I think after everything I've been through, the domestic abuse has left me scarred the most. It stripped me of all my identity. Didn't know what kind of food I liked, what kind of music I liked, because he dictated everything to me. It's been very tough, but the date September 18th is very significant. Some things came up later on that I'll share with you a little bit further in a minute.
You know, there's so much more to hear. We are going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with Mistie to wrap this story up.
Thank you.
There's nothing complicated about our food. There are no fillers and no artificial ingredients. It's made fresh and it's made with you in mind. Simply put, we make incredible comfort foods. We specialize in that slow, home-cooked taste, whether it's our brisket, smoked chicken, ribs, or links. You're gonna love every bite. We've been perfecting incredible comfort foods for over 10 years, and we've got it down. Great tasting comfort food at a great price. We even cater. So pick up the phone or visit us on Facebook. Be sure and ask about our funnel cakes and our famous sweet and spicy pickles too. It's hard to resist great food, especially when it's incredible comfort foods.
Now we're back. We have listened to Mistie Layne's story, and there's so much more. We're not done yet.
I wanted to mention September 18th, the day I got married, the day the wreck happened. I got out of prison, was rebuilding my life a little bit at a time, trying to regain trust, trying to make my name that was, accountable for my actions. And I got a call from my daughter, the same daughter, that said, "Mom, I'm pregnant with my first grandbaby." And she was due September 18th. So I'm thinking, God's replacing a life with the life I took. It was beautiful. So she goes into labor and has my granddaughter Eliana on September 18th. However, there was a problem, and her oxygen was cut off, and she was born with severe brain damage. She has what's called HIE grade 3. She's blind and deaf. She doesn't suck or cry. She has a feeding tube, and for about the first 6 months of her life, I felt very guilty and let the devil convince me that it was my fault. It was my punishment, that I had caused it. So I was letting my past rob me of my joy. And I just decided right then and there, you know what? Everything I went through and everything I took my kids through, everything I drugged them through, made them strong. It made them independent. It made them resilient, ready to tackle anything that came up in front of them. My daughter is the best mother in the world. My grandbaby's 3, and she's beautiful, and she loves her dearly. We all love her. And I decided I'm turning this around. I started finding the silver lining in everything, and that's my new mindset. That's what I did.
You could have taken that and you could have tucked yourself away and got real quiet about it. You could have allowed the enemy to tell you, no, you should be ashamed, but you didn't. You pulled yourself up and said, I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to use my voice to change the world. Others need to hear your story because someone else has walked through the same thing, or they're on the road to the same thing, and they need to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, but it was all God.
It's God, and it's my daughter too.
You know so much. You have so much to share, and there's so much more that people won't need to know about. And that's why we're so excited about your book coming out in 2019. So before we leave, tell us what the name of the book is and the 4 habits that you use to help overcome all of your challenges.
The name of the book is What Goes Up, and it will be out hopefully the end of January. And in developing my own strategy, that just working through everything, trying to let go of the past demons that were haunting me, it kind of developed itself, and it's called COPE, C-O-P-E. And C stands for confront your fears, confront the people that you need to forgive and the people that you want to forgive you, and then optimize on your experience. Because once you've gone through something, once you've gone through the other side of it, you're now an authority of it. You're an authority, so you need to optimize on those experiences so you can help others with it. And then P is for push through, because now's the time Satan's going to try to stop you. Now's the time where that guilt's going to try to pull you back down into that ugly, dark place because you don't want to feel it. So you have to push through it, and you have to say, no, I'm worth it. I'm lovable. You have to find yourself, love yourself, be yourself. And then the E is for embrace. You have to embrace everything that you are because you're beautiful. We are all beautiful, even with the flaws, even with the thorns. Because if we didn't have those, we wouldn't have that experience to share with others so that they don't feel alone.
That's beautiful. And if you could give one piece of advice on how we do push through when we find ourselves in those chaotic states of mind, how would you suggest for us to push through?
To look in the mirror and find one thing about yourself that you can love for that day, for that moment. It might be the color of your fingernail polish. It might be your hair, or a joke that you know. Anything, find one thing and love yourself for that day, for that one thing.
That one day.
It's beautiful.
One day at a time.
One day
One day at a time.
Absolutely.
We thank you for being here
Thank
on the
you
couch.
so much
Thank you
for the
sharing.
opportunity.
And what's your website that they can actually go purchase your book? Because you're taking pre-orders, right?
I am taking pre-orders. It is www.mistielayne, MistieLayne.com. MistieLayne.com. What goes up?
Awesome. You'll go support Mistie Layne.
Yes.
Go make sure you visit her website. Get your book the moment that it comes out. But also remember, share your story. That's what Couch Time with Sonja is all about. Making sure that we share your stories because they really do matter. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Couch Time with Sonja, in partnership with Visible Evidence, together did Light Up Houston, where we had the opportunity to go out and bless others in the community and help pay their electric bill for the Christmas holidays. We want to give a special thank you to the Hess Club Houston, to Dignity Memorial, Brookside Funeral Home, and TND's tax service that allowed us the opportunity to be able to go out in the community and give back. That's what the holidays is all about. And thank each and every one of you who purchased a ticket to celebrate our end of season. We appreciate you.
And we're back. Our next guest would appear to have had the perfect life. She was married, she was in love. To everyone else, everything was just perfect. But it wasn't. Soon there was some divorce. She lost her identity. She lost her voice. She lost entirely who she was. I know I want to know more. Y'all want to know more?
That's exactly right.
You all want to know more. Please welcome our special guest, our friend, Meka Diamond.
Welcome to the couch, girl.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm on the couch.
But you've been on the couch before.
I have.
We have the
I have.
pleasure of having you on the She Shed for
Yes.
season 2.
Yes. All about the she shed.
Yes.
So right. But this one is so different.
It is. It is.
Meka, I've heard you say how you have worn a mask for the world's expectations instead of life realities. That's really interesting and profound. Can you expand on that? Tell us about that.
Well, as women, we often have a lot of hidden things behind masks, and the mask that we show, we put on a face of everything is okay, and deep down behind the mask is so many other things going on, and some of my life realities to the world was perfect. Perfect in the marriage, perfect. I married my high school sweetheart. So everybody thinks was perfect. But at home, it was crazy. A lot of things that happened in my household my parents didn't know about. Some things that I shared with my friends, they turned around and used them against me. So to the world, we put on this face of everything. We had a relationship that many mimicked. We were the perfect couple. But at home, I walked on eggshells. I grew in insecurity. Insecurity led me, I was in love, and then I loved. I understood what the difference was when being in love and loving someone. I married someone who was the first grandchild, the first one to finish college. He was Mr. of his class in high school, the president of the band. So not saying that I wasn't worthy of him in our relationship, but he had a lot of expectations from other people. And because of those expectations, I had to live up to those expectations from other people. Even though I was strong enough to know that I'm worthy enough, it was the outside world that wanted us to be something else. They wanted us to be the celebrity couple, the king and queen. We won so many different things being a couple. But at home, it was totally different. It was totally different. So I wore a mask for the world. But at home, when I took the mask off, that's when the realities became real. As I said, I walked on eggshells every single day trying to figure out what it was about me that was difficult for him. I never felt like I added up to who he wanted me to be because of the things that he said to me or the things that he shared with other people. And it was because of the expectations of other people. But it was difficult. I grew out of being in love, but in love with someone else. And it led to infidelity. Infidelity led to being pregnant. And that being something, because I didn't share, I protected him from the world, that when all of the things that he did was wrong, they didn't frown upon that because what I did was wrong first. Right, absolutely. So, and when it all came out, what had happened to me, I began to be depressed. I looked at my parents being embarrassed because, again, we were looked at as I wore this mask the entire time. So everyone looked at me as, not Meka, not Meka. But it was Meka, and I had to deal with that every single day. I lost friends. I became suicidal. I remember praying to God. For God to just take me. I feel better with him than I would walking into so much with other people. Family being embarrassed, and because I had to face this entire time, I had to face. And because I'm a people pleaser and I wanted to protect his image, I didn't share the things that I was going through internally the entire time. So that's the face. That's the realities of life, that I'm human. And I remember being so depressed that I wouldn't get out of the bed. And I wasn't even at the home then. I was living with my mom. I didn't want to get out and eat. I would just say, Lord, if you just take me, I will be better off with you than walking outside and having to deal with the things that I have to face every single day because of my own decisions. And even in those moments, I protected him. I never went out and said what I went through, but to the world, I was the bad person because what I did was put out first. And as women, that's what we do. We wear a mask a lot. And we wear this mask and we take on these things instead of being open and communicating about them. And the realities of life, that we're not perfect, we're human. And being able to not withstand some of the things that we do, that I did, walking on eggshells every day was difficult. It was difficult to try to understand, why is he not talking to me? Why is he not answering? What do I need to do? Is it somebody else? Everything. And when having the opportunity for somebody to love me, to be open and to share feelings with me, that was what I did. So that's what happened with that.
And I know that, man, just to hear your story just kind of makes you go, wow. But also your reality of saying, I'm gonna share it. We thank you for just being transparent. Being transparent is beautiful. It honestly is. It's healing too.
And I'll say this, I've been nudged by a lot of people. The journey that I'm on, I never thought that I would be in where I am. The friendships that I lost, those who tried to lower my credibility of who I am as an individual. I'm not in that circle anymore because God removed those people from me. The people that are in my circle now love me for who I am, regardless of what it was that I've done. Some had no clue, but I have so much love from so many people all over that now walking through the fire and understanding that this was why this happened to me, why I was chosen, because now I have to tell it. That's right. I can't be embarrassed about it anymore. That's right. Because I'm human. And so here I am on the couch.
There's so much more to Meka Diamond. And there's something about that name. We're going to find out about that when we come back from the break. See you in a moment. You heard about Meka's story, but there's something about her name. We have to talk about that. But there's a special guest in the studio, and this special guest that's in the studio goes way back with you, right, Meka?
Yes.
We're gonna bring on her good friend with us while we finalize our segment, Mr. Ali Siddiq. And if you do not know, Ali Siddiq is a world-known comedian. Yes. And of course you can tell, right? But Meka, while we have him here, we know that Meka Diamond is not your birth name.
No.
So we want you to tell us a little bit about Meka Diamond.
Okay, so back in 2007, I had a brother who was killed in gang violence. And I wanted to bring the A-Leaf community together, so I started having events. And when I started having the events, I didn't want to do them alone, so I had two ladies join me, and we called ourselves Triple Diamond was the name, Triple Diamond. And so I took on Diamond because I was the original founder and CEO of Triple Diamond.
So tell me, we have Ali here. What's the connection?
Oh. How much time do we have? No, I'm just joking. Ali and I are good friends. He is from the A-Leaf community, and we used to hang out.
And where is A-Leaf?
A-Leaf, Texas. It's in A-Leaf, Texas. It's southwest part of Texas. Houston, I'm sorry.
A-Leaf is in the southwest part of Houston.
Past the Beltway.
Past the Beltway.
In between, you got to say what A-Leaf is. A-Leaf, okay, this is what A-Leaf is. Everywhere where you see that Korean people got their own sign, that's A-Leaf. That's A-Leaf. All the way to Highway 6, that's A-Leaf.
Well, Meka, I know that there was many pressures that were applied to you in life. Just like a diamond. How do you create a diamond? It's through pressure. And all of the pressure that was applied allowed you to actually come and find your purpose.
Yes.
To the point that now you are carrying out your purpose in A-Leaf and surrounding areas.
And so I want you to definitely just kind of tell me a little bit about what you're doing in your community. And of course, man, he's doing the same in his community. And I want y'all to talk about, y'all both came from A-Leaf community, but man, y'all never forgot where you came from.
I'm actually from the southwest side. I moved to A-Leaf. I was out. See, A-Leaf, it was really like white. You know, maybe 3 or 4 black people scattered around when I got out there. Meka's from a different range, you know, age group. I was already out of high school doing my thing. I was in the streets at the time. Meka was probably in middle school at Hollop or something or whatever. No. What middle schools out there? I don't see where you from is what middle school you went to. See, we moved to A-Leaf. My mom got a little money. Moved to A-Leaf out there with all them Nigerians and them Chinese people. Then I got in trouble out there, because I'm from Hillcross Square, the swamp. If you don't know, that's on like they called it 90 now, but it was Old Main, back where the original French's was. Before they got uppity and moved to 3rd Ward. So Hillcross Square, Tiffany Place, Village on the Green, Sandpiper, that's all the Southwest, that's the SWAT. So how it became the SWAT, A-Leaf in Southwest, we had a fight with Missouri City in 1990. The police won the fight.
So back to what I do in the community.
Let's go back. Can you tell me what you're doing in the community that is making a difference?
I'm not fighting with police.
We do understand you are not definitely doing that. This is what happens when we invite a comedian on the set with us, right? You never know what's going to come out of his mouth. But tell me what you're doing in the community that is making a major difference.
Well, what I tried to do was bring the alumni back. When I was in school, the alumni, we hung together. We were family oriented. And now the younger generation, my brother's generation, they kind of have lost that. You know, we had rivalry school games, but it was all in fun. Now, you know, you could live across the street from somebody, and you were, even though you went to 2 different schools, you were still family. Now it's chaotic in the A-Leaf community. So what I've tried to do is try to get the alumni back together in order to teach the younger generations how we were, so they can carry out some of the things that we did back in the days.
It's beautiful. Thank you for just being in the community and touching lives one person at a time.
One person at a time. You're doing good.
So tell me, how do our viewers actually find you?
Well, you can find me on social media, Facebook, Meka Diamond. Also Visible Evidence, Visible, VZABLE Evidence, as well as Meka Diamond on Instagram and Visible Evidence on Instagram. Or you can catch us on Wednesdays, on Women's Worth Wednesday on GMT Radio with Couch Time with Sonja hosts Sonya Lowe and Delia Cortez.
Awesomeness. But
Right.
now,
Look at that look. You see?
you have some things going on in the community too, and I heard you have something big coming up. Is it next weekend?
Next Wednesday, celebrating 20 years of doing stand-up in this particular city. See, and let me say why I say in this particular city. I remember 20 years ago, I started 1998, and everybody, and I mean every single person in Houston, told me that I had to move in order to make it in comedy. Every single, it wasn't one person that didn't say, you got to go to LA, you got to go to New York. I was so irritated by that. Man, you can't tell me where I'm going to make it from, because one thing is, comedy is everywhere, God is everywhere. He don't just pick people from New York and LA.
That's exactly
So Houston decided, because this is what Houston does, y'all support a lot of people from other places, and you tell your talent that they got to leave, go get good, and then come back. You know how ridiculous that is? I started here. The community here made me, and so what I decided to do was stay. So in staying, I've been here 20 years, never left, didn't move anywhere else. So let's see what happened in 20 years when Ali did not move. 1999, comedy, BET Comedy View. So that's 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004. Comedy View came here and got me. I didn't go anywhere. Showtime. Shot my Showtime special here. Shot my Comedy Central album here. Shot my Comedy Central half-hour special down the street in New Orleans, because that's what they was doing, man. Shot my full-hour special here in Austin, because I keep it Texas. So since y'all told me I had to move, and I did not, so I just made the industry come to me.
Yeah.
And so even though Houston still in this mindset, people ask me, Ali, what you doing? First of all, I'm signed to a network, a whole entire network. Comedy Central is who I'm signed to. So we working on the third special, and I'm so dope that they gotta release me out the contract for just a year for me to go do my next special with HBO. See, the thing is, people think that they have to leave this place and won't support their talent. People ask me, Ali, what you doing? Everything. Just because I live here, I did a whole world tour this year and still came home every Monday. Every Monday. Why do I have to leave my community and spend my money other places than right here? I can spend my money I don't get it. So my thing is, now that I go these I'm a vendor in the Fort Bend school district, just like Meka. I go to these schools and I tell these kids, stop letting people navigate your life. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody tell you what you can't do. And I love when as soon as somebody tell me that I can't do it, that's my whole goal. I remember they told me 1997, I walked out of prison, 1997, October 21st. That man said, you'll be back. I looked him in his face. I say, it'll be a tree growing in front of this place, right where you standing at, in that cement before I come back here. You sadly mistaken, sir. So I saw that man. At one of my shows 15 years ago. I said, you still at that prison? He said, man, I still work there. I said, that's a shame them folk got you locked up like that. I just don't believe in somebody telling you what you can't do. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in that. Because if you determine you can do it. I don't believe every day above ground is a good day. I done had some bad days above ground that I wanted to go underground. And then realized, nah, that ain't gonna help me. You know, I listened to a lot of people when they came on the couch. And I listened to what they were saying. And I think a lot of people miss the determination of these people. You had to be determined not to do things. Yes. I got out of prison. I served 6 years in prison. I came back to the community, back to y'all, and y'all had nothing to offer me. And it's just not me. It's whoever come home from that judicial slavery. And then you come out and they have nothing to offer you. I got arrested 19. 4 days I turned 19. 20 years, after 6 years, I come home. What education did they think I had? I went to college while I was in there, got arrested while I was still going to school. But my social skills, people like, why are you having all these bad relationships with women when I got out? It took me till I was 33. I remember I was 33 years old, and I realized why I was having bad relationships. I went in 40 to turn 19. All of my relationships had been juvenile relationships, and then I was a drug dealer, so they was out of balance. Out of balance, because when you 14 years old, and you got $92,000, and then when you show up to homecoming in a Jag, the way that you handle things and the way people handle you are different. So because I got the most money, then I'm right. In prison, whoever talked the loudest is right. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm just 20 years.
Yeah.
Now, where is your improv?
19, 8 o'clock.
On the 19th.
On the 19th.
So December 19th.
8
at
o'clock.
The Improv.
8 o'clock.
Houston, Texas.
You gotta keep saying
8
8 o'clock.
p.m. We want to come out and support.
Support.
We want to come out and support.
I like that. I like that word. Support.
Yes, we want to come out and support. Because it does make a difference that you have been here for 20 years when you could have went anywhere else. So we thank you, and we thank you so much for hosting our live show. Meka Diamond, we We
You
want to
gonna
tell
cry?
you thank you.
You gonna cry?
No, she's not. We want to tell you thank you. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for your honesty to come out. There's many lives that you have to change. And this is just the start.
The floodgates is open.
Well, we thank you so much. We hope you have enjoyed the finale of season 2. But, ladies, do we have something planned for them in 2019? 2019 is our season 3, and we're taking it to another level. With that, we have a new recorded theme song, and you might have heard it, but we're going to let you hear it here. Sing along with us as we, we're not going to go to break. Guess what? As we end the show today. See you soon. Season 3, 2019. God bless.
I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Are you ready for couch time with Sonja? I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Are you ready for couch time with Sonja? Sometimes you need to hear something that will help you grow, or maybe need a break, refreshing for your mind and soul. Well, take a seat, 'cause we got what you need and more. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Are you ready for couch time with Sonja?
It's couch time with Sonja. Let's go.